software fundamentally is dead. Software can be written. The price is on the outcome. You can build whatever beautiful UI you want. You can build whatever great SaaS tool you want. Customers will not pay for it. Customers will pay for the outcome. So I put people into three buckets as I see, at least from an enterprise perspective. Okay? There's the first bucket where folks are apprehensive. This is going to take my job. This is going to replace me. Second bucket are folks who are dipping their toes in the water saying, let me see what this can do. The third bucket are the tinkerers. So those folks are the leading edge of, let me explore the capability set that changes the way I do work. Over a period of time, those buckets will move. Everyone will become a tinkerer at some point because humans are very good at using tools and evolution has taught us that. And over the next 10-15 years, I think everyone's going to be using these platforms to create things we cannot even imagine. LLMs can reason much more fluently, can take really decisive action, and you don't really need human-in-the-loop systems. So you're already seeing that with autonomous vehicles. There used to be this need for a driver who will intervene. What we have realized is that doesn't work. Human-in-the-loop does not work because the bandwidth and the velocity of decision-making of an AI system is way, way, way higher than a human can react. I come from a consulting background, from a compliance background, and all that defines success in that world is experience. How many varied situations of problems have you seen? Now, that problem is solved with one prompt.
Akshaya Murthy has spent most of his career inside the parts of enterprises people rarely see until something breaks. Today, as the Director of AI Transformation at Zendesk, he's using that experience to do something few AI leaders can: apply generative and agentic AI where execution, risk, and real money collide. In this conversation, an episode of the Inference Show, we'll explore how Akshaya's journey from engineering in India and an early startup exit through Wipro, Deloitte, Oracle, Bank of the West, and now Zendesk has shaped his insights for where AI actually works and where it quietly fails. We'll talk about what changes when AI moves into finance and people operations, how Zendesk is deploying agents responsibly, and why 2026 feels less like another transformation cycle and more like a structural reset of how work gets done. Akshay, welcome to the Inference Show.
Thank you for having me, Manish.
Akshay, after years inside QA, audit, and compliance-heavy industries, why is 2026 the moment where companies must redesign work for AI?
It's a great question. The way I see it is AI has been around in the enterprise space since the 2015s with machine learning and reinforcement learning and feedback loops, etc. And we got generative AI a couple of years ago. And the capabilities have now moved to agentic AI. So the definition of work has changed in 2025 and to a little extent in 2024. So the last 2 years, enterprises have been tinkering and experimenting what AI can do. And all they got was rewritten emails, they got shortened text, they got not so great proses. But with agentic AI coming to the fore, with the capabilities of AI growing leaps and bounds, I think the moment of truth has now arrived in 2026 where we move away from experimentation to see how agentic AI can actually get work done. So in my view, the work will transform from being human-centric to agentic-centric. So think of it this way. The agents will do the work, the humans will do the critical thinking and the error correction. So given that paradigm shift in what work means, I think in 2026, for enterprises to be relevant beyond 2026 and into the future, they have to relook at work and the processes and say, are we doing work the way it should be done by agentic AI rather than humans? And hence, I feel a lot of enterprises are going to put a lot of effort into bringing in tools and platforms with agentic AI capabilities to completely transform where work gets done, who does the work, where compliance happens, who reviews the work, what the policy structures are, because it's a complete overhaul of everything that we know about work. So that's why I feel 2026 is going to be a transformative year, and companies will have to put some effort into rethinking what their operations look like, how they want to do business.
So the role of the human is changing from that of the worker to something else.
100%. I think the role of the human is going to change from being the doer to the thinker, because agentic AI will do the doing for you. Think of it this way. I use this example of when washing machines first came into the picture. There were these people who did the washing of the clothes, right? So when the washing machine came in, the efficiency boost was so high that once the machine does the washing, you don't have to touch it. It did the work for you. It did the cleaning, it did the drying, etc. So for the human, the work completely changed. You could learn everything about laundry and not do anything about it because the washing machine's doing your laundry. So what you should understand as an individual worker is you have to level up from the tactical layer to understand how processes work and how they talk to each other and how enterprises work. That way you become this person who defines the workflow and asks the agent to do the work for you. So think of it in a different way, as you have an entire country of experts in a single LLM. Agentic AI now brings the capability of executing on that knowledge. So you become a person who can manage a team of people or agents who can do the work. So as individuals, we have structured work, structured economies, structured society in terms of division of labor and specialization of labor. We have to transition from that because now all of that division and specialization can be contained within one agentic platform. So as humans now, we have to level up and say, what's beyond this? Am I a manager? Am I a creator, a thought leader that changes the way work gets done? Because so much can be done now. And it's not reliant on me individually becoming an expert in any field. Now I can think broader. I can connect more dots and make more things happen, create more things. So that's the shift in human thinking that has to happen in 2026 and beyond.
So everybody goes, or many people go from being an individual contributor to a manager suddenly, just that you're managing agents.
I think so. Not just a manager. I think there'll be too much of a pigeonholing again, because agents can manage agents in a way. We have to unlock creativity of human thinking. If you go back to the system of education we've built up, it's again aligned towards the factory model. Teach them concepts that they can apply in a factory and get work done and give an output. I think agentic AI will bring to the fore the era of everyone being able to think creatively and not being pigeonholed, because school systems, university systems are meant to box you in a certain way of thinking, not change or expand your way of thinking. AI gives that opportunity for us to move away from that boxed way of thinking into exploring. If a system can do everything that you want, what can you do? Your brain is the masterpiece of evolution, so use it. I think that's going to be the future with agentic AI.
Understood. Do you feel people are getting closer to being able to realize and use that potential, or what is going to be needed from people? I mean, obviously agentic platforms are evolving, but how about the human side? Are people getting a better grasp today?
I put people into three buckets as I see, at least from an enterprise perspective. Okay, there's the first bucket where folks are apprehensive that this is going to take my job, this is going to replace me. What am I going to do? I need to earn money and earn wages, etc., to survive. That's first bucket. That's the apprehensive. Second bucket are folks who are dipping their toes in the water, saying, let me see what this can do. Let me see what this technology can do. And trying to experiment very surface level. The third bucket are the tinkerers. These you'll see are the folks, if you're in an IT operation setup, are the folks installing random applications to experiment. Okay, so those folks are the leading edge of, let me explore the capability set that changes the way I do work. Let me automate my work. Let me see what else I can do. It's not just about learning, it's about application. of that particular potential and capacity. Over a period of time, those buckets will move. Everyone will become a tinkerer at some point, because humans are very good at using tools, and evolution has taught us that. And over the next 10-15 years, I think everyone's going to be using these platforms to create things we cannot even imagine today. That's going to take time. Human creativity has to be unlocked, because it's a way of thinking, and you have to give them a broader horizon of thinking. Over a period of time, I think it's an automatic unlock as they see and learn more and more individuals creating new things, new businesses, new startups, new ideas. They'll start to connect the dots. When you give them a super sophisticated, super powerful system like agentic AI in general, folks will realize the value, especially as the cost continue to plummet and it's going to near zero per token. It's only a matter of time, not if.
Understood. So you expect the AI natives to come to being in about 10 years or so?
I think so. I think it's going to take a generation, because if you take Gen Z, Gen Z is grown up with social media and the TikToks and the Instagrams of the world. So they've really mastered Instagram and TikTok, and that generation has created jobs and opportunities that just the previous generation did not know could exist. I think Gen Alpha and the next generation will grow up AI native. That is, they can't do anything without AI. It will be that paradigm. And hence I feel it's going to take 10-20 years, a couple of generations, to be fully AI native, for them to realize a completely different way of working, way of thinking, way of living with AI in symbiosis with your life. I know it sounds very unreal, but we've seen things happen with social media that nobody expected. We'll see things happen with AI that nobody is going to expect either.
And the defining characteristics of that person would be a creative thinker.
Absolutely. Just curious, not even creative. Curious, go figure out things, poke holes. If you're So maybe a good indicator of that as a child is if they're taking apart the toy cars, if they're taking apart the radios and computers, maybe you should let them do it, because that's how AI is going to change the world. There is space for tinkerers, and more so.
Understood. Actually, you were the first one to implement AI in business transformation. How did that happen?
I was familiar with AI. We had worked with machine learning and chatbots to a certain extent back in my days at Deloitte, Bank of the West, and Oracle, in a variety of use cases. But the issue was, it was data intense. You needed somebody with that domain expertise to actually get it done. So with AI, what happened was, you did not need that expertise anymore. That you can do the integrations yourself. You can demonstrate value. You can understand what is possible. So my first interaction with ChatGPT, it was transformative. I knew it was over for the traditional job, the traditional world. It's over, because I come from a consulting background, from a compliance background, and all that defines success in that world is experience. How many varied situations of problems have you seen? How many changes in regulations have you seen? And how do you apply your skill sets and experience to cater to that problem? Now, that problem is solved with one prompt. You don't need subject matter experts to a large extent. So that changed my thought process. And my fundamental reason going into enterprise transformation was, how can we change the way we work? And fundamentally, what can I learn from this? Because I'm fairly curious. As I said, management consulting requires you to be continually in the forward loops of evolution of business processes. That's where I started, and enterprise search became a fundamental use case that we want to solve for. We just collaborated internally. I contacted every business function leader saying, do you have a problem of finding information? Everyone said yes. And that became a big business case at Zendesk, where we said, okay, we need enterprise search. And Gen AI makes it really simple. We went to this vendor called Unleash, and we benchmarked them against several other vendors. We found them to be best price performance wise. We brought them in, and it immediately delivered about 4 hours of efficiency per employee per week. Big win in that sense. Never had I seen a technology deliver results in 6 months, leave alone 2x, 3x, 5x ROI. So we thought, okay, that's a great win. That use case is so good that we actually bought the company at Zendesk. We are integrating it with our Zendesk platform now. So that was the baseline, that search was critical and it was table stakes. And Gen AI is really good at amalgamating information, integrating all that, making sense of that, and giving you a reasonable answer when you ask for a question. So that's what Gen AI does. So we did that, fairly successful. Then we started looking at other use cases within Zendesk that could really drive value. That is, can we drive revenue? Can we drive cost reduction? Can we drive profitability? And that, so on and so forth, led to other use cases, which basically cemented Gen AI's role in the operations space at Zendesk within the product. And now every product or every solution we look for at Zendesk has to be AI, has to be AI native or agentic. Otherwise, we just don't buy that solution. That's what's happened now.
Understood. It's been an interesting journey for you, and we'll try to, talk about that and how you got here. But Akshay, how did it start? I believe you were an engineering student at VTU back in Bangalore.
Yeah, I'm a fairly average student in that sense. So I did my engineering in electronics and communications. This was a small engineering college in Bangalore. But what I was doing on the side was working with a startup. We were making computer games. And in computer games, there's a very mild application of AI, because if you're playing against the computer has to know what to do with you. Like, do I have to shoot at this player? Do I not shoot? So there's some AI fuzzy logic involved. And I left this. I worked with the startup for a year and a half during my engineering time. And I left the startup, started my own. We started building computer games, mobile games for operators in India. We had a fairly decent presence. And I sold that. Nothing to write home about, but some sort of success. And that's where it all began, that this entrepreneurial bug, this curiosity of what I'm interested in, and exploring new technologies that someone's not done before, and exploring hard things. That's what my journey has been, the start of my journey has been.
Very interesting. So your first job out of college, or even during college, was doing your own startup?
Yep, it was. It's a ridiculous thing that I did. Really, I think if I look back, I was optimizing for velocity of learning. I wasn't optimizing for money. I had no idea what I was doing. I knew that there's a market, and okay, we'll go sell some things. Let's figure it out with a partner. And it worked out pretty well. But that's been my passion, that let me do something that I've never done before. Everyone around me is going to say, careful, you may fall, you may hurt yourself. But so far, that's, I think, the only thing that's kept me afloat. I need to be constantly looking at new things, understanding how the world works in a different way. And that was the start of the journey for me.
Understood. And this was early 2000s, right? In Bangalore?
Early 2000s, yep.
And how was Bangalore back then?
Very clean. Very clean. I could get from my home to the college in about 10 minutes. So if the college class started at 9 a.m., I would leave my home at 8:45 a.m. and still get there. The same distance now takes 2 hours. So that's how much Bangalore has changed. But one thing that hasn't changed is the entrepreneurial spirit in Bangalore. Back then, Infosys had just IPO'd, and that was a big pivot point for all Indians, that entrepreneurship has legs. Global businesses can be built out of India, and we have people who can transform the way the rest of the world does. Okay, that was the whole notion behind Infosys, Wipro, Tata Consultancy Services. So learned a lot from that ecosystem. Also, what happened is the first startup I worked with, we are still in touch, all of us. All of us are either running companies of our own or exploring new ideas. So I think it's Bangalore is this melting pot of entrepreneurism and experimentation that I was very lucky to be a part of. As I say, it's not about what you do, it's not about what you learn, it's about who you spend your time with, and that really shapes and molds your thinking, and that's really true. And Bangalore gave me that. I have a very special place for Bangalore. My parents still live there, and I try to visit once a year.
Awesome. And then actually, the year was 2005, and you started working at Wipro.
Yes.
Doing gaming.
Yes.
And you did that for many years, like, 6 years or so, 7 years?
Yeah, 7 years almost. So when I went into Wipro, I had just gotten out of my startup making computer games. And I went in as an engineer. So building processes and tools and products, software engineering in general for clients. My first project at Wipro was with, I remember we were building the intranet for GlaxoSmithKline globally. And I wasn't too interested in infrastructure. So I went to the general manager at Wipro for product engineering services and said, hey, you know what, I have this gaming background. It's a big market. I couldn't do it on my own. Do you want to support me? And he said yes. We started building out the Gaming Center of Excellence with a focus on quality assurance, because we did not have that much of a development talent back in India. There were a couple of companies. Dhruva Infotech was a big deal. They were mentioned in the World is Flat book, and so they were doing services really well. The other one was India Games back in Mumbai.
Yeah.
And the talent was concentrated there. So we couldn't get the talent out without paying a lot of money. So we focused on game quality assurance. We had a few large customers, tier 1 publishers and tier 1 development companies. Built that over a period of 2 years. I was in Hyderabad. Then I decided, okay, I've built this, what next? Because it's not paying my bills, not enough at least. So I decided to move to the US through a project within product engineering itself. I moved to Hewlett Packard in Oregon. And we were building these massive scale printing solutions, retail printing solutions. The printer would take up the size of this room. Okay, these are publishers buying these. It's a completely different business model, so I wanted to explore that. So I came in, I was leading the quality assurance function for that particular product, and then eventually moved into some of the product development and product rollouts. And today, if you go look at any HP photo printing solution, I may have had something to do with it. You'll see it in Walmart, you'll see it in Walgreens, etc. So learned a lot over there about scale. It's not just about product. It's not about how shiny or great the product is. It's about diligent operations to follow up on the product, to implement it, make sure it works for your customer, the operations behind it, the discipline of execution, and keeping the product fresh again and again and again, taking the customer feedback loop into consideration. So for the first time, I had seen a multi-billion-dollar product where I could appreciate, wow, I have a role to play in this. and I have a leading role to play in this. Um, Wipro taught me a lot. Taught me about delivery, taught me about customer obsession, taught me about uh, operational agility, making sure robustness of supply chain. But I didn't really put it all together till I went into business school, and we can talk about that. But that was my journey in Wipro. Really, really appreciate the journey I had. I'm still in touch with all of my colleagues from the HP projects. We are all still in a WhatsApp group. I try to meet them whenever we go to India, and they try to meet me whenever they visit. It was a family for 4 years in Corvallis, and really enjoyed the time. So yeah, that was Wipro.
Understood. And then a grad school and MBA came next.
Yes, I went to University of Pittsburgh because I got a full rider.
Awesome.
I chose that not only for that, but my wife was doing her PhD at Penn State, which was a 2-hour drive from Pittsburgh. So we thought, okay, we'll stay close by, and I'll get my MBA as well.
And what did you specialize in, or what was your focus at CATS?
I did not have a focus. I did do a lot of finance and valuation and strategy coverage, but my real focus was on building a startup there. I was building a company called Infinitum. The idea came about where I used to take the bus from Pittsburgh to State College, and the brand is called Megabus. I think they're still around. They would sell tickets for $1. And me as a student and my wife as a student, we didn't have too much money. So I used to take maximum $10. So that's a pretty good deal. So I realized, okay, if this is the business model, this is not going to survive for long. You need alternative parallel revenue streams. So we actually pitched to the owners of Megabus, hey, we can build you a transit advertising solution which will create a parallel path. This is a captive audience. They're not leaving the bus for 2.5 hours, and in winter 4 hours because you're not moving very fast. So let's work on this solution. We teamed up with some engineers from CMU, Carnegie Mellon, right across. We built the prototype, but then we weren't able to scale because we didn't have the supply chain, we didn't have the operational agility. I did not know how to build a startup. I thought I did. I did not. And what MBA gave me is the understanding, again, that scale is not equal to product. Scale is equal to operational agility and making things work for your customers and making sure it works profitably. The other lens it gave me is that unit economics matter. There's a lot of influence of regulations and global macroeconomics and economics in general on your product. You got to take that into account. And for you to make it work at an enterprise scale, it's all about return on investment. Your product can be as shiny as gold, but people may not buy it. Your product may have a really bad user interface, and back then that was the norm, but it delivers a superior ROI, that will sell. Shiny product don't matter. So that's the worldview MBA gave me, and I dove deep into that with finance and product management and strategy. Then I went straight into management consulting after having failed with Infinitum. That was my journey in University of Pittsburgh doing my MBA. I'm still deeply involved with the university. I try to give advice to young leaders there on the changing ways of business. So really close to my heart.
Awesome. And then right after you went and worked at Deloitte for about 3 years or so, what was your role there?
I was a consultant. So I was this junior consultant who was tasked with getting things done, because I did not have a really good understanding of how industries work. I knew how some parts of the Indian enterprises work, but the Western world is completely different. And the first industry I went into was healthcare. Uh, Completely different ball of wax compared to tech. It is highly manual, highly regulated. You got to pay attention to every small detail, and you can't get things wrong. And to top it all, I was in health insurance with a client. Uh, then I worked with other customers in transportation, in high tech, in financial services. All in all, my focus there was process reengineering, process redesign. How do you digitize a manual process? How do you take it from a manual way of working to putting it into systems, from a mechanical way to a digital way of doing things? Learned through hard knocks, realized very quickly that I was not the smartest guy in the room. There were several smarter guys and girls and people in the room. So that was the first level set when I went into consulting. But then I enjoyed the process after the fact. I ended up working in several sizes and shapes of companies, several industries. But one thing I understood again was process redesign is a way of thinking. It's about realigning a jigsaw puzzle that's constantly moving so that it flows. It works like a well-oiled machine. It's aligned with the company's objectives. It's aligned with the profitability or strategy, whatever it may be for that particular customer. But make the process work to attain the objective at the end of the day. Don't make the process work for the heck of it, for the heck of streamlining it. Make it work so that the end goal is met. So that's one big lesson I took away, which I apply on a daily basis right now. So I went from manual to digital to now AI, and it's the same thing. The principles are the same.
A lot of people are trying to solve that jigsaw puzzle today.
Yes.
Again, right? Awesome. And then it seems that your journey into operations kept on getting deeper and deeper.
Yep.
You had stints at Oracle and Bank of the West. What did you do there, or what did you learn?
Oracle was really, really cool, because that was the first time I went into Oracle very deliberately. Deloitte's experience gave me insight into bits and pieces of operations of various industries. But I went to Oracle with an explicit goal of, I want to learn how a global company operates. So I deliberately went into audit, because audit is a spot where you see the entire company's processes, operations, products and services, how things work end to end, not from an operator's lens, but from a risk lens. But eventually I got into an operator role. So I got this opportunity to look at operations and how companies, large multi-billion-dollar companies work. I was able to go to about 16 countries to see how it actually works, and I was fascinated. The people element, the systems element, the process element, the regulations, taxes, planning, strategy, it all came together at Oracle. And once I moved out of Oracle, somebody actually seeked me out from BNP Paribas, their retail arm, Bank of the West, which now has sold to BMO, I think. They called me in to ask, hey, can you help us reconfigure our company? You know how large corporations work. We are a bank. Everything that we do is manual. Can you help us not just digitize, but reconfigure? So my role at Bank of the West was looking at each division, be it the retail arm or the equipment finance arm or auto finance or mortgage lending. Take a look at the operations and tell us, do we have the right people doing the right things? Do we have too many, too little? Should we move things around? Do we have the right systems, the right flow? So I was able to go into every nook and cranny of operations at Bank of the West, starting from the back office, the contact centers, the people doing the work, the frontline salespeople. It was an exhaustive amalgamation of all the experience I had in my working career and bring it all together to actually make big things happen for a bank. And we were able to accomplish a lot of outcomes. I really appreciate the experience there. I had exposure to a lot of top level executives and their thinking. I was close to the decision making function. So really enjoyed working there, really enjoyed reconfiguring systems and understood how human emotions work for the first time. When you reconfigure something, they don't want to accept it. And for the first time, I was able to see the interaction between processes and humans and the raw nature of the interaction and the friction that comes about when you make large scale changes. That was the first time I looked at it that way.
So you are at the forefront of change management.
Yes, 100%.
And how people react to it.
Yep. It's I think it's people accept processes and process changes. What people don't want to accept is the uncertainty and the ambiguity around it. You can make changes happen, and that could be really taken well if you communicate to the people who are in charge. This is what you're going to get out of it. This is what you're going to do, and these are the outcomes. So you have to align the incentives associated with the change with the individual who's going to be experiencing the change. So that is the first time I was able to apply that. I had several folks from BCG and Bain who were part of the team, and really learned about practicing that art. That change management is truly an art of these are the 10 steps you have to do, otherwise your process is going to fail. So for the first time, I learned it there.
Would the same concepts work today for AI transformations, or there's more to it?
I think it's going to be much harder. Because like I said, digital transformation was moving mechanized processes into a digital realm. What was on paper went into systems, ERPs, SaaS systems, whatever. But the process remained the same. The assumption there is the operator is still the human. Okay, so you're now just retraining the individual, saying, don't work on the spreadsheet, go work on the SaaS system. Don't do this calculation, check this calculation. But it is still the human operator. The complexity with AI and transition to AI and agentic is that humans will no longer operate. They are the overseers. The system will operate itself. To give you a very simple example, we are currently looking at multiple agentic systems at Zendesk for operations. One of the systems is called Maxima AI. What Maxima does is, in the accounting realm, a majority of the processes in accounting are reconciling transactions between systems. Okay, say there's a CRM system, then there's a billing system, then there's a GL system. The main task of accounting as a function is to reconcile transactions between these systems and certifying for example, Sarbanes-Oxley compliance. If the data flow is accurate, complete, timely, that's a majority of work for accounting, and certifying at each level, at each system. Now, with Maxima AI, it's one button press. Everything's reconciled. What would take weeks takes 4 minutes. Now, how do I redesign work for a human? So that's the way to think about it. That if agentic AI can actually do the work, what should the human do? That's the challenge, I think, from a change management perspective. And retraining on how the process works is not going to help. Retraining on how the new process works is not going to help. Individuals have to lift themselves out of the process and think about, how do I redesign this process? How do I make it work within the confines of the rule set of either the PCAOB has put in place or the SEC has put in place, or any country's regulations. How do I make it work within that framework? How do I make the AI not lie to me? Hallucinations, for example. And how do I ensure that this consistently delivers an outcome that I need out of the workflow? Okay, that's a higher level thinking that traditionally in enterprises has come with growth in the career ladder. Okay, now what you're asking a fresh graduate from university is, you got to start thinking at that level now. You won't get to see any of the lower level activities that will build up your skill set. You got to start thinking about it now. So it's a societal shift that is needed. It's a shift in the education system. It's a shift in how we operate. And it's a shift in, we don't have to do it the way we did it yesterday. Can you tell me if you can do it better? So to answer your question, I think it's going to be much harder. It's going to be much more, there's going to be more friction. The individual's role in the process becomes uncertain. Uncertainty, nobody likes. Individuals definitely don't like it. And when they look at the capabilities of the system, they may say, oh my God, I don't think I can cope with this. I don't think I have enough time to learn this. So that is the challenge, that the workforces that we have built are not aligned with the capability set that agentic AI delivers. So there's a big need for complete retraining, top to bottom, from the lowest tier employee all the way till the executives, to really show them what the capabilities are and what it means to have agentic AI in a system. Because now you are introducing overcapacity of intelligence per se. Okay, so
Yep.
whenever you introduce overcapacity, there's always going to be uncertainty of price.
So today is Monday, Akshay, and since Friday, a lot has happened in the world of AI, right? The reason I say is that things are moving at such a fast pace. How do you learn about AI? You seem to have solved that problem for yourself, but maybe there's something that we all can learn. How do you experiment with AI? How do you learn about AI?
I experiment with AI, one, by talking to folks like you and understanding what it can do. You're at the forefront of this revolution. And second, by applying it. I have a couple of side projects that I'm constantly working on. One of them that I've talked about is sharevalue.ai, which is a system that I've built for myself to understand where I should invest. Should I invest in undervalued stocks, overvalued stocks? Should I invest in the market at all, etc.? So I've been able to build an agentic system using an agentic system. Think of it as a machine that builds a machine. I use cursor code, Claude code, to write the platform. And what's come out of it as a learning is, I can build anything I want as long as I have an idea. I can make it happen. No matter how complex the idea is, AI can build it for you. To the extent that I built share value, and the natural outcome of building such a system is, how do I analyze this data in a consumable form that I can understand? I can look at numbers all day, but explain it to me. So I built an agentic writer on the back end, which looks at all the data and gives me a point by point take as to why a stock is overvalued or undervalued. Think of it as talking to Warren Buffett, but I get a readout every day on every stock. And that is generating some buzz in the market that, oh, I want to see how we build this agentic AI writer. I want access to it. So businesses are reaching out. So what enterprises should take away from this is, software fundamentally is dead. Software can be written. The price is on the outcome. You can build whatever beautiful UI you want. You can build whatever great SaaS tool you want. Customers will not pay for it. Customers will pay for the outcome. So as I experiment, as I implement new stuff for myself, that's how I learn. And out of that comes the reality and the realization that software doesn't have value, outcomes have value. How do I deliver something which is an outcome? So that's how I learn. I'm really bad at reading books. I for some reason cannot get through even 50 pages. So I listen, I watch, and I do.
Awesome. So learning by doing is awesome way to learn. You've become very good at it. Recently, you taught a course on building these kind of systems. Very quickly, let's try to recap the core principles, right? So you've talked about applying AI safety and then privacy. Can you talk about the key concepts?
I'm really concerned about safety and privacy with AI, because fundamentally, if this technology is so good at amalgamating information, synthesizing it, and bringing together insights from that information, that means I can reasonably assume that I'm being watched. All my data that is out there, someone's watching it. So from that perspective, AI safety becomes important about if this system makes an incorrect determination out of a data set, and that has a critical path impact, healthcare, for example, cancer research, you could change lives, you could flip them on their heads. So to me, AI safety is near and dear to my heart, because it's going to have societal impacts. And the reason why I taught this course, and I keep going back to teach various parts of the AI ecosystem at the University of Pittsburgh, is because I want young leaders to understand of the capability set available to them and to change their way of thinking, because their jobs in 2 years is nothing similar to what it is right now. So I try to give them new ideas, try to give them a new framework of thinking. And the reason why we covered personas and personalization and customization is that if you built a company, you would hire for a few roles. You would hire a marketer, you would hire operations person, you would hire a developer, you would hire whoever. And your customers, you would sell to various personas. If all these jobs can be done by agentic AI, understand it now. And this is how you do things with AI. And this is what you can accomplish with AI. So that's my intent. And really, I treat that as an avenue to learn. Richard Feynman has famously said, if you want to learn something in a hurry, teach. And that's there's an ulterior motive here, that I go in and teach and express new ideas. And I think universities are a great place to express ideas and exchange views. The points of views will be so varied, some naive, some informed, but there's value in that exchange. So I tend to go back to universities to learn from students, learn from a younger crop of people, to understand what their point of view is. Because I may be designing processes and systems internally with a completely different point of view, but they are the consumers in 2 years. So I want to understand their point of view. That's why I keep going back and teaching these courses.
Understood. In your experiments with AI, how important is prompting?
It used to be. It no longer is. Because if you look at Gemini or even Claude skills, you can start with a prompt and allow the AI to fine-tune the prompt. So, and expand on the prompt. If you just think about the bandwidth capacity of a human being, okay, the highest bandwidth is thinking. The next highest bandwidth is vision. The next is hearing. The next is talking. The slowest is your fingers. Why would you prompt? Right? So you should be able to prompt at the speed of thought. And that's possible by giving it some context and saying, I want to get this done, what do you think? And the AI has much more bandwidth to look at all the possibilities that you want out of that prompt and what the outcome is supposed to be, and do something with it and give you a much more sophisticated, much more structured prompt to actually accomplish that. So to answer your question, I don't think it's too important. What is important is to be clear about what you want to do, what your idea is, and what you want to accomplish. And if you give those 3 or 4 bullet points, AI can do the rest for you.
And also, doesn't agentic AI, in your opinion, abstract some of that out, because AI becomes the orchestrator, right?
Correct. That's a great point. If I want to, for example, the agentic writer, all I'm giving it is a context of data, say the stock prices and the balance sheets and the income statements from a particular company, and I'm saying, write me an article that is contrarian to what the markets are saying. And the workflow and the agents can take care of it. And I just have to fine tune it here and there.
Understood. You've said time and again that the nature of work itself is changing. The nature of what the human would do. You just said that it's going to change. The job that people are doing is going to change in 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. Let's delve a little bit deeper into human-centric aspects of AI. Human-centric design is going to be very important because it's going to impact a lot of people and how they work, right? So let's talk a little bit about, what it would take to make this transformation successful. What are the important factors? Of course, you've talked about that people, need to see what's in it for them. So the incentives, let's delve a little bit deeper. What are the key factors in human-centric design of AI systems?
Let me go forward 20 years, okay? And this is my hypothesis. The current structure of function-led organization design, capability-led organization design, in my opinion, will not exist in 20 years. Because functions and capabilities are an outdated model of the 1990s, probably 1980s, of the factory model, where you needed to make a conveyor belt move, and for it to move fast enough and for you to deliver a car on the other side of the conveyor belt, you needed people to do things fast, and the only way to accomplish that is specialization of labor. That has carried over today. I think it's long overdue for that to change into corporations, enterprises, even tech, not just manufacturing, that it's all about specialization of labor. And you see that there's an accounting function, there's a HR function, there's a finance function, there's a engineering function.
And then somebody, goes and studies accounting for a few years, joins the accounting firm to do that for long periods of time.
Exactly. So we have constructed an entire ecosystem, the economy and our society around division of labor. In 20 years, I feel any company will be fully run by an agentic operating system. That is, there's no specialization. It's all encompassing. One system can do everything. Systems don't define what the company does. I think humans will be a creative part of the process, and that's about it. So this whole paradigm of division of labor and specialization of education is going to go away. So if you work backwards from there, from a human-centric design, the design has to be to unlock creativity of humans. That's the only thing you have to do. That's the most difficult thing to do. Humans are creative, but most of them don't know how to channel it towards an outcome. So your company, as a firm or as a monolithic structure, its only capability will be creative thinking in 20 years. The rest will get taken care of, in my opinion. So human-centered design of processes have to evolve in that way. And I think you'll start seeing it in 2 years. When the models can reason, the LLMs can reason much more fluently, can take really decisive action in a flow, and you don't really need human-in-the-loop systems. So you're already seeing that with autonomous vehicles, if you draw parallels. There used to be this need for a driver who will intervene right when something goes wrong. What we've realized is that doesn't work. Human in the loop does not work because the bandwidth and the velocity of decision making of an AI system is way, way, way higher than a human can react. And we are seeing that removal of human intervention with agentic loop systems already. Waymo is doing a great job. We are seeing it in the battlefield with Andrew. There's no human in the loop. It's autonomous decision making, autonomous execution. So if you take that into consideration, a human-centered design which is empathetic to the being itself of what a human is and what makes a human will be about designing to unlock the real capabilities of the human mind. And in the short term, I think it's going to be one abstraction of process design or whatever product design, whatever it is, to make it as creative as possible. All these constraints that we have added within processes and all the bureaucracy around policies, procedures, are to control for error rates at the end of the day. These are control systems. Okay? So when you think about AI design, humans have to become really good at control design for the AI system. What is my threshold of error? What is the escalation procedure? Where do I want to get involved? And who takes the blame when something goes wrong? I think humans have to start determining that. That's the next unlock in terms of what humans will do. And once that is set in stone, and systems learn really fast, it's actually going to be an exponential curve in the pace of change of process design, because it's going to get better again and again and faster and faster and faster. When intelligence is abundant, when everything can get done, what do humans do? I think that definition and that unlock is why I say that the human centric design is completely different. We don't know yet. We'll figure it out in 5-10 years.
Understood. So when everybody has 1,000 agents, then the differentiator is creativity.
Yep.
But there seems to be the core of it being governance, right?
Yep. I think governance, to a large extent, is man-made. Okay, governance comes in because you want to have a quality system. You don't want variance in the outcome, and to maintain that at societal scale, we have created laws, and to maintain that at a country level or international level, we have defined some acts as crimes. You can't do this. Okay. So similar attributes apply to AI. Since AI can do everything, at a societal level, at a global level, you have to constrain it with governance of what it should not be allowed to do. That's the alignment problem at this moment that everyone's trying to solve for. That is the AI aligned with the humans' thinking and thought process. I think that's a very difficult problem, because you're trying to put all of human thought, human philosophies into one line that don't do this. Okay, that's one level of governance. Second level of governance, if you come down to state or country, that's the laws. This is how you can use AI. You cannot replace this kind of labor with AI. You can only do X, Y, and Z. You cannot kill people with AI, whatever, those laws. At an enterprise level, it becomes policies and procedures that you cannot go off and do things that drains my bank account, or whatever the mode of exchange of value is in 20 years. I'm sure it'll still be money. So that governance right now is tied up in multiple policy documents within the enterprise, multiple approval loops, approval chains. So there's multiple layers of oversight on anything that's getting done. So the fundamental point of friction and the organization design becomes around the policy. We need to create so many roles because we need to adhere to this policy. But if all the policies are just code in the AI world, you can simplify it far more, because now you can define agentic personas that can take the action in real time. You don't have to wait for somebody in APAC to sign off on a contract before somebody can execute a deal in North America. It can be in real time, it can be. So, but those governance procedures, those guardrails have to be put in place so that it doesn't harm us. It doesn't harm the company, it doesn't harm the country, it doesn't harm human beings, it doesn't destroy the earth. So there are various levels of governance which we should pay attention to. It's highly, highly important. And currently I'm thinking about actively, how do we ensure that, how can we automate, for example, Sarbanes-Oxley compliance? Sarbanes-Oxley is a law that governs all of financial reporting, and our financial systems standing relies on Sarbanes-Oxley being carried out. It is fundamental to the economics of the world. Because if somebody stops trusting the numbers reported to the US markets, nobody's trusting any numbers across the world. So I'm trying to solve for that and thinking about what can agentic AI do for Sarbanes-Oxley compliance. It is super manual. It takes tens or even hundreds of people to maintain compliance in a large organization. And companies spend over $200 billion a year on managing and maintaining compliance. My thinking is with agentic AI, we can cut that by 50, 60, 70%. Just imagine how much value you can bring back to the world by giving back $100 billion a year to enterprises. You can create new products, you can make things better, you can be more profitable. All in all, it's a value lift for the globe, I feel. So I'm deeply working on that part of governance to see how agentic AI can solve for that problem and be more precise, lift the overall health of the financials of the company and in general of the stock markets. Because now you can be sure that if you've used an agentic AI system which is certified by a third party, that means you can be very sure about the financial health of the company. You cannot lie because you cannot manipulate the agentic behavior, at least if it's governed well. So that's how I feel, and that's just one small area of governance that you can apply AI to. You can apply it to FedRAMP, you can apply it to HIPAA, you can apply it to any regulatory process that is data driven. That's 90% of processes. So to close this, there are two layers of governance of AI itself, and then applying AI for governance of processing, procedures, laws, etc. So I think in both areas, AI can make a big difference.
Understood. Awesome. Awesome, Akshay. Akshay, there's another aspect of applying AI. You've done a lot of work in process transformation itself, right? Let's start to delve a little bit deeper into transformation of how work is being done, right? So what is different about this kind of transformation? Of course, you've talked about how the role of the human is changing. But transformation has been going around for a long time. You talked about digitization, right? What are the key aspects of what is coming next, and what are some of the good use cases?
I think at the moment, really good use cases for agentic AI if I just focus on back office, because if you take any company that is selling any products, the real engine making it work is a back office. All the deal management, all the accounting, all the updates to the product, no matter what, billing, somebody has to do it in the back end. And I think there's immense ROI tied up in bad operations, in inefficient operations, in manual operations. And there's a huge unlock possible. So while customer-facing use cases are really good, ChatGPT, for example, is a customer-facing use case where you're delivering value to end customers. But the real value unlock is in the back end, I think, where you can transform a company's functions with AI. And I'm seeing right now accounting as a big area, as I mentioned, Maxima AI, that we are trialing. To documentation. A lot of times you have no idea how your company is working. Okay, there are a bunch of people who are doing a bunch of things, and you have no idea how they're doing it, but they're getting it done, because that's human ingenuity. Okay, things get done. But for you to scale as a company and even start thinking about applying AI, you first have to understand what your processes look like. And for that, we are using a platform called Clarity AI, which we can send out an agentic interviewer to any operator. It could be a manager, it could be an analyst. Just talk about what you do. Walk me through a video of how we do it. And in 2 minutes, we have a documentation ready. So for the first time, we are able to understand at scale and in very quick time, how do we work as a company. So you first define the work. then you can start transforming it and reimagining the work. So that's another area that we're seeing. Third area that we're seeing is deal processing. A lot of deal processing is about contracts and reading through the contracts, the terms of the contracts. Say, I'll pay you in 30 days after you send me the invoice, or you are promising to buy 10 seats from me, or 30 resolutions from me, whatever be that case. That's one piece. Second, somebody has to make a decision whether those terms are okay with the company. Agents can do it for you. You don't need a human to sit through and go through 60 pages of a contract, every time being different, redlining it, saying, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with this. Agents can do it. So those are three areas, I think, in the back office. Definite sure shot wins. The biggest one, I think, is customer service.
Understood. What about procurement?
Procurement, I have a very, very audacious vision for procurement, but it's controversial. The reason why I say that is, procurement, the centerpiece of procurement is negotiation. Procurement's central function is to understand from the customer who's buying, understand the seller, what the midpoint is where they will meet from a price from both a buying and selling perspective. That's a core human trait, negotiation. You're trying to understand the emotions and the intents on both sides. You're trying to get them to come to a center point. There are whole courses, there are whole degrees on negotiation. Can AI negotiate with an AI better? So think of a future where my procurement organization is talking to your procurement organization, but that's my agent talking to your agent, my AI agent talking to your AI agent. They fully understand the scope and success factors of my company. Your agents fully understand the scope and success factors of your company. They can come to a negotiation very quickly and come to a negotiated price point very quickly. So I think there's immense potential in getting there in the next 2 years. If you look at what Google just released with the Universal Commerce Protocol, I think we're getting there. You can imagine whole container ships negotiating with hundreds of suppliers in one shot, and you suddenly have a full ship, because you can align all their incentives with the correct price points and you can make a deal happen while being profitable. I think that possibility is there in global trade, and we're just starting off. And a lot has been said about removing emotions from negotiation, but it has never been removed, right? We're all negotiating with emotions, but AI can remove that, and it could be a purely transactional exercise which creates value on both sides of the funnel. So that's my point of view on procurement. From an enterprise procurement perspective, it's much smaller scope. You're basically buying commodities, you're buying software, even a $100 billion company. You're probably buying some components. So there's scope for automated negotiation, automated contracting, automated supply chain with AI agents. And I think it's going to take time. In the next 2 years, you're going to at least see automated contracting come through, and automated negotiation is going to take a little longer because humans are involved in the loop.
Understood. Akshay, what about hiring?
Oh dear. The current state of hiring, it's an interesting situation with hiring right now. ChatGPT, Claude, all the public-facing AI tools have made it so easy for the consumer to collate and make information accessible, and to put together a resume or put together an application that perfectly suits a job description, that companies have seen themselves on the back foot. Companies obviously are slow to adapt. People are faster. So what we are seeing as a problem is that there are for an open requisition, for an open job, we see thousands of applications in 10 minutes. It's not happening because people are applying. It's because agents are working on their behalf to apply. So enterprises have to adapt and have a countermeasure to get the best candidates out of that pool of 1,000. You don't want to go through 100 and say, I'm done, I can't go through 1,000 resumes. Use an agentic AI system to go through everything and still make the best candidates stand out, because for you to succeed as a company, you need the best people. And I think that's one big area of application. The second big area of application would be code evaluations. Let people code and see. I don't know how long that's going to last. But the last area is trying to understand how genuine a person is when they're talking to you. So that's a non-AI solution. Once you have got the right people to the table, talk to them. That is the human activity that you have to do in hiring, and understand if they're genuine. I think that's what you got to hire for. Skills are available with AI. Capabilities are available with AI. You want to hire for creativity. So agentic process stops there. You don't want to judge creativity with an LLM. I think that's detrimental to human growth. So that's what I feel are some areas where hiring can be impacted.
After all, that's going to be the differentiator between companies, right? When
100%.
everybody has 10,000 agents,
Yes.
right? Creativity. You've said that time and again. This has been a fascinating conversation. You've given us a glimpse of what things were, how they are right now, and what is the future. What's next for you, Akshay?
I'm exploring a few areas that I can contribute to with AI. Definitely on the compliance front, I'm looking at how do we solve for the $200 billion problem, that is Sarbanes-Oxley compliance. And that lends itself to so many other compliance measures. So if we are able to build something that can solve for compliance automation, we could be looking at $1 trillion market there. So that's one. And two, I'm just curious about what this new technology can do. So I'm talking to anyone who's willing to talk to me and improve my understanding on the subject matter. So yeah, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to have a conversation and see what you're doing. I'd like to understand what other possibilities are there with this tech.
Understood. Akshay, will encourage our audience to reach out to you. Akshay, what else would you like to share with our audience?
I would say keep learning, be curious. Those are the only two traits that you can fall back on throughout your life. Be it work or be it personal life, you just got to keep learning. Be the agentic system yourself. You are a really well fine-tuned agentic system that has been developed by evolution. So utilize it to your best possible extent and use the external tools to make it work for you.
Awesome. Akshay, thank you so much for being on the Inference Show.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this conversation.